Okay. Yeah. As I've mentioned, we'll look at different specific decisions we have to consider when we apply to a certain specific research design. Kasi in your mixed method, you have specific designs, and each design they have their specific data collection considerations. Okay? Sige. We begin with this meme, no? I saw this on Facebook. I don't know if you have seen this data gathering. When you prepare your paper, your concept paper presentation mo na yun yung picture sa inyong data gathering. So this illustration actually shows a very important an essential skill when not skill essential consideration when we look at data gathering. So here what is seen in this meme is mga neighbors, no, looking at peeping at holes to probably see what's happening in the other side of the backyard. Yeah, these are Lester observation skills. So yeah, in a qualitative study, this actually shows both the advantage and disadvantage of qualitative data gathering technique. No, one, we know that the best instrument in a qualitative study is the researcher, because the vast experience, the vast skill, and the vast knowledge of the researcher would help them interpret the observations and the data that they have collected. It can be an advantage in that way, but it can also be a disadvantage in a similar way. Kasi if the researcher is not skilled, beginning in his or her data collection, in his or her research journey, then probably the 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 data richness he or she could get would be minimal or poor in a sense, no? So that is why when we come up with data gathering procedures, we should be very detailed, we should be very specific, and we should at least maximize all opportunities that we can address mga risks, challenges, and even unplanned or unintended outcomes in our data collection, so that we can at least try to offset the disadvantages of different methods. Mo nang maayo gyud na we consider these similar to here. So probably when you're this neighbor and you have no idea of who the neighbors are, then probably the chismes that you will hear would not make sense because you don't know them. Your knowledge about them is so little that you cannot uh, get the context of probably yun sa naitabo sa pikas sa silingan. But if you know them, you know their relationship, your relationship dynamics, then probably gamay lang nila nga sininggita, sinagita, then you can easily get the context, di ba? Mga importante di ay ang atong ang knowledge sa researcher. And if ikaw tong researcher nga medyo gasugod pa lang, so we have to maximize our data gathering procedures so that we can address these challenges ahead. Like for example, in your quality study, first time ni mo mag-FGD, first time ni mo mag-interview. So if maayo, dili ka kanang open-ended questions. Oh, dili open kanang open-ended interviews, kanang ikaw lang bitaw maghuna-huna sa mga question on the spot because again, dili maka-experience nga nga researcher. But if bago pa ka, maayo na kay mga guide questions, even the kind of probing questions you plan to ask, imo nang plano daan. And katong akong ginasuggest often sa kanang mga estudyante is mag-practice, no? Kanang sa mag-interview, mag-practice. Nay mock interview na kay random nakailahi nga participant who have similar characteristics sa imong target nga mag-practice para dito nimo ma-practice yung mga questioning and probing techniques. Kay wala kay mga probing techniques, wala kay mga probing skills, so what makes your interview better than a survey questionnaire? May pag-ingon na lang itong gi-survey questionnaire kaya dili man nagyapon ka maayo mag-probe. So maayo itong na-practice. Okay? And To address those, so we have to plan ahead our data gathering procedure. So I hope in this lecture we get to take down notes of the things you need to consider when writing your data gathering procedures, as well as the decisions you have to make for your data gathering procedure. Okay? But before we go to the data collection in detail, we have to remember that the reason why we collect our data is to answer our research questions. So at the end of the day, the kind of data that we collect should be aligned, constructively aligned to the kind of questions we have. Okay? If we are not doing so, no? And moning often mistake no sa kadaghanan I sat in many defenses but dili sa grad school, often sa kanang high school, ng senior high o kanang napitong ga-appeal og science fair pero minti manid ko judge siya ng science fair but lang so galod-on ako. Yesterday, nag-judge ko whole day, science fair. Last week, naagyapon. The next week, nanapod, regional science fair. So, muna kayo. And common yun is, dili nga match. There's no one-to-one correspondence between the question, the methods, and the data. Mabita nang si Ma'am Laila, when she teaches methods of research in the master's level, what she often requires students is to come up with a matrix na kay research question in the first column. And the second column is the data techniques or the data gathering procedure or technique that you will employ. And the third column is what are the data that you expect to collect so that the students get a sense of kanang bitong picture of what they plan to do. Kaya usahay, hala, saksak sinagol na ang ginapangbutang. Hala, murag, sa sige bitog tanaw sa mga example, hala, nindot ni, kopyahon. Ito po, the study becomes a mosaic, no? It's a mosaic na sagol-sagol lang nakabutang. So we have to ensure that the techniques that we employ in our study will allow us to collect the data to answer our research questions. And how do we do that? So we follow uh, uh, consistent interconnected steps, starting from our sampling, our gaining permissions, recruiting participants, identifying data sources, recording data, and administering data collection procedures. So here's a quick summary of the different steps involved in data gathering procedures. So first, you begin with your sampling procedure. So you have to, for both quanti and quali, you have to identify the site, the sampling site, as well as your participants. Pareha na sila. And they differ in their sample size and the justification why the sample size is appropriate. So for example, in your quality study, you have to clearly describe how the target sample size is achieved. Like for example, you're doing interview. Why did you select 7 only? Where is that based from? What reference can you cite saying that 7 is appropriate for phenomenology, transcendental phenomenology, or hermeneutics phenomenology, or case study? Why 7 is appropriate? So you can cite that. Always na pangutanon, especially if we have a quali expert sitting in the panel, then they always ask that. For the quanti, on the other hand, often the question would be, is the inferential power of your sample size? Does your sample size allow you to generalize your conclusion to a larger sample size? So how do we do that? So we look at the statistical tools employed in our study and their assumptions. So if you're planning to do correlation, regression, or mga multifactorial tests, no, then you have to look at their assumptions as well, because the kind of result you arrive at the end will depend whether your sample size meets the assumptions. So daghan mo na mga homogeneity variances, sa ba, homogeneity variances, normally distributed, or were the sample randomly collected, um, of the are the two groups kanang of equivalence sample size and so on. So kana atong mga pangtanawon kay diha man dayon magdepende ang imong conclusion. That is why uh, often qualitative studies are purposeful, while for your quantitative studies, it's probabilistic or random sampling. Although we can still employ non-random sampling in our quanti, but it does not have good or powerful. It does not have it does not have high inferential power if it's non-random. In terms of obtaining permissions, in the last few years, universities have already uh, applied institutional ethics review board. So aside from the necessary permissions that you have to acquire, for example, kung mag-sampling ka sa inyong university, so manangit ka sa university president, academic affairs, director for instruction, or the dean ba kaya, and so on, or kung sa DepEd, manangit ka sa regional director, superintendent, principal, kana mga different ginoo sa atong mga institutions sa pananghira na sila tanan. Aside from those permissions that you have to get, you also have to obtain institutional review board. This is for the ethical review of your research, because you have to remember an ethical research is an unsound research, or ethical research means sound research. And ethical research means unsound research. If your research is unethical, then any conclusion that you end up with will not hold water. And how do we do that? So I don't know with other universities, no? Bukso, wala may taga-Bukso, taga CMU man din. CMU, na naman mo yung ethics review, sir ba? Sir
Yes,
Lester,
sir. Ano, sir?
na
Yes, sir.
accredited
Ang
na ba
kuha
siya?
na gamay, sir, is ang wala gamay, sir, is kanang of course usually kay dugay din mo gawas og result, sir,
Mm,
man uban yung mga researchers kay maalangan pod.
mm. How about sa others? Sige, mga taga-Lion State U dire. Si Sir Mark sa Community College. Do you have an ethics committee already?
Sir, karon plug na creative concern ethics committee, sir.
Okay. So you tried
Yes, sir.
already to catch up.
Yeah.
Oo. And that's okay, no? Kay kami gali sa USTP. I sat as the first chair of the ethics, and I established the procedures, the manual of the ethics review. It's already everything, no? It has already been approved by the board as well. Na namin mga nga natanan, and then there were administrative challenges na wala ko ganahi. That's why I resigned. And since my resignation, uh, wala na ako napulihan, and hanging na karon ang ethics. But karon, you know that we have College of Medicine, and we have a lot. I mean, the med students are also doing the research. I temporarily sat back as the chair just to process the research proposals of our College of Medicine students. And yeah, kaya ako man familiar sa procedure, kaya ako man naghimo sa mga manual, no? So for example, sa inyo pohon, when you do your dissertation already, often atong mga dissertations sa education, they do not pose high risk mo ng dili kay siya dugay dapat, no? Dapat paspas ra ang pag-review. Muna yung ni Sir Lester nga dugay mo gawas. Ang problema actually yan na kanang dugay mo gawas is probably there were no kanang clear procedures on how to review, what to check, what to examine, or usahay may mga protocols, mga research protocols that do not even require full review. Kanang gitawag og expedited review ra. Sa pasabutan ng expedited review, ang chair lang ang mag-review, dili na kailangan mag-assign ng primary reviewer para mas paspas kay ngano man expedited, because the protocol does not require high risk or does not pose high risk. Dapat paspas ra para ng mga survey. Like survey lang kasi ilang mga teaching strategies. No, that does not pose any high risk, di ba? So dapat paspas ra na ilang review. Compared sa nangutana ka kung unsa ba mga drug addiction no ano nga na ito or their relationship with their parents kana so may nga na kay that can open wounds or that can trigger trauma and so on, so that requires full review. So what you can do, for example, in your dissertation is tentatively, the panel can automatically sit as a proxy ethics review board. They can look at the proposals, whether it's sound or not sound. Aside from that is kung naamo sa inyong eskwelahan, then you can also subject your paper to ethics review in your institution because in the ethics review world natay ka ng equivalency, no? For example, kung di-review na ang proposal ni Sir Mark sa City College, pwede na dili i-review sa USTP CDO. Oh, but we have to remember also that dili na siya always true. Okay, there are times like for example, you are a researcher from the US, and your proposal or your protocol have been reviewed in the US, and your target sample comes from the Philippines. So dili pwede nakatong imong protocol diretso nimo i-administer or dito diretso nimo i-conduct imong research sa Philippines because there are contextual and cultural differences. For example, if some of the questions in your questionnaire might not be culturally offensive in the US, but it is culturally offensive in the Philippines, dapat gyud na siya i-review. That is why kinahanglan gyapon moagi og ethics review. Especially if pwede ra kuan lang sa niha ka ng blanket answer lang sa ni Sir Lester. Yes, pwede ra. But kung imong target participants is sa inyong locality, sa CMU area or sa Bukidnon area, okay gid kaayo. Okay, of course, there are contexts in Bukidnon that people from USTP might not be familiar. So mas maayo gid sila ang mag-review. Muna akong pasabot. Kung asa context
Okay,
sila.
sir.
Mm-mm. Napoy special case, no? If ang inyong sample, although I'm not sure if naadere, inyong sample mag-require og kanang indigenous people bitaw. If you're studying indigenous people, that requires another route because we have there's a law that protects our indigenous people's knowledge and knowledge, IPK. Oo. And ang inyong proposal kinahanglan mo agi og review sa NCIP. I don't know if you're familiar with NCIP, the National Commission for Indigenous People. So napo na sila ilang own nga mga patakaran. So dito moagi po na inyong proposal dito sa NCIP. I remember we had a study in partnership between CMU and Bukso. Oo, nagingon si Sir Elnor. Correct, oh. We had a study with CMU and NIMSO, no? On ethnobotanical practices of Mamanwa and Manobo tribes, no? Yeah. Nahurot na lang among 1 year. Wala pa ginigawas among clearance from we call it FPIC, the free and prior informed consent from the NCIP, no? So dugay gyud gawas. Kana bitong ga plano mag ethnomathematics kana may nga na. So kinahanglan na siya moagi gyud NCIP because you're dealing with indigenous people and we have to protect their knowledge because it can be exploited and so on. Mo bitaw tong kadumdum mo tong katubitang I have to turn off my camera because hinayad ako internet, no. Kadumdum mo tong katubitang vlogger nga sikat si Nas Daily. I don't know if you remember that case. Wala ka relate. Hindi siguro mo mga social media persons. Okay. Sige. Si Nas Daily kay yatong gi-cover si Apo Wangod o niya. Wala dahil siya nag-agi og naghimo sila og murag video something. Wala sila nag-agi og NCIP. Oh, so they were badly criticized online. Okay, pasaylo, no? Nawala akong internet. Sige. Wait, let me share again. Uh, About asa ko nawala, but I was sharing about uh, the case between katong kaila mo ni Nas Daily. Yun familiar mo. Yung vlogger bito, Nas Daily. Anong that's 1 minute.
Sir, that's 1 minute.
O kana siya. Mm. So there was a big controversy surrounding him no, when he developed a video master class including that Apo Wangod. Kato bitong mambabatok bitaw. Katong magtattoo ba? O wala dahil sila prior permission sa NCIP. And they were documenting indigenous knowledge. Katong mambabatok is an indigenous knowledge. So that must be protected because that is our cultural heritage kunang kinalang protektahan sa NCIP muna ilang mandate. So wala sila nananghin. So they gravely suffered from bashing online and ambot sa tunay tabuad to. Yeah, daghan po siya followers nga nangawala. No, so we have to be very careful with that, especially when submitting your papers in journals. No, they will really look for it, the permissions. Okay, sige. We continue. We also have to. The next part is aside from obtaining permissions, is you identify your data sources. So you must clearly identify how you plan to collect data. Like for example, in the quali, what do you do? Do you plan to do FGD? Do you plan to do interview? Do you plan to collect artifacts in terms of documents, mga lesson plans, records, historical facts? And you also have to indicate the extent or the scope of your data collection. Similar to Quanti, you have to also identify the instruments you will be using. If these are adopted, if these are researcher made, and you have to justify why they are appropriate for your sample. Like often, mga ga-adapt og questionnaire, atong mga instruments ginagamit is Western from the Western world. So we have to justify why we think this specific instrument is appropriate for our sample size. Or our sample, not our sample size. To our sample. Are there any similarities in the characteristics of our sample with that of the sample of the research that you referred to? So inyo nang i-describe. Second, consideration, especially kanina itong mga test yung mga achievement in nature. We have to remember that the curriculum of other countries are different from our curriculum. So we cannot simply use adopted instruments abroad and use it here because that would have a poor content validity. Okay, so aside from validating the instruments for its appropriateness, we also look at its reliability. No, so you can discuss the instrument, the components of the instrument, the reliability of the instrument, and the validity of the instrument. And next is the recording of the data. So how do you plan to record the data? For example, in the quali, do you plan to record them, to record the audio, to record a video, and what are procedures that you would take in recording audio and video? Would you ask consent from the participants? So, inyong protocol, inyong procedures, inyong gyapon nang i-describe. For quali on the other hand, so you can mention here, patakong giingin ka ganina, the validity and the reliability of your instruments. And in some research ethics committees, they also require dummy tables. I don't know if you're familiar with dummy tables. Kasi nakatry na magpa-review of manuscript for ethics. Wala pa, sige. Kanang dummy tables is kanang inyong chapter 3, magpa-review mo, butangan din siya ang chapter 4. Pero ang chapter 4, ang sulod sa chapter 4 are just the dummy tables. What are dummy tables? You imagine already how your tables will look like after collecting data so that the reviewers, the ethics reviewers, they would know whether there will be personal identifiers that will come out in the table sa inyong results. Kaya kinalan man, pag abot dito sa results, dili siya maka-personally identify kinsa ang participant. So, often ginabuhat is we use aggregated results, di ba? Instead of reporting the creative thinking of Sir Elnor or the creative thinking level of Ma'am Jody, is we use the mean so that it's an aggregated and we can no longer identify kang kinsay dako, kinsay gamay kay na-aggregate naman, nakuha naman ninyo ang mean. So, kinanglan na may mga dummy tables para makita daan sa mga reviewers. Okay? Sige. And finally, your data gathering procedures. So, you describe how the who, what, when, where, and how long the data collection will take place. Your procedures, especially for quanti, the standardized procedures that you will take. So step by step. And for quali, describe also the potential deviations from the study, especially when talking about sufficiency and saturation of our data. No, when do we say that it's sufficient? When do we say it's saturated? Ito na, may discuss tayo in a short while. Yun sa pasabutan na. And then also the anticipated ethical and logistical considerations. No, that is why the last part of chapter 3 is ethical consideration. So as researchers in writing our protocol in our chapter 3, we have to anticipate what risks would come out and how do we address them. I remember we had a project with Ateneo de Manila, no, katong drug rehabilitation. Ako man ang project leader adto kaya ako ang methods expert, but I was not the content expert. So the one method we utilized there was FGD to look at the motivation and the satisfaction of the the clients in drug rehabilitation. So, ang comment at sa ethics reviewer was, we have to have a licensed professional that will be able to debrief the participants. Kasi we are dealing with the stigmas, no? Ilang mga internal, intrinsic motivation, as well as their external motivation for participating in drug rehabilitation. Manggawas man diha ang kanang magparehab sila, sa ilang mga challenges sa ilang family, sa ilang relationship with their family, mga ingana bitaw, and also the pressure. So, dapat na licensed professional who can debrief. So, nakita man ito sa ethics reviewer nga ako, ang project leader, is not an expert in guidance and counseling. So, nag-recommend gid sila nga mabutang sa protocol. That's why we hired a registered psychologist to be part of the project. And he was the one who did all the FGDs as well as the debriefing of the participants. Napayuban nga ibutang nila sa ilang survey questionnaire ang phone number sa guidance counselor. Of course, nanangit sila so that if they feel any kind of uneasiness while data collection, they can contact and so on. So, yun na nang yung mga ipang-anticipate daan. I also remember I had one advisee who's no longer kanang wala na pakita. Okay, ang iyang plano at tumungod is she wanted to look at whether science camps are effective in developing uh, critical thinking ba to? Critical thinking skills kay DepEd is very fond of camps, di ba? Science camp, math camp, reading camp. So dagan kay mga ingana ang DepEd. So he wanted to look at whether the camps, the training design of the camps really help improve students critical thinking skills and so on, or the targeted skills. So daghan kay to risk, di ba? So you have to identify both the logistical, ethical, and even mga other risks that the project would have during the conduct, no? And then plan ng mga mitigation strategies. So, saan kaya to? Baka na ba kay nurse on duty while ka science camp? Na ba kanang try out ba ang mga activities first to check for the potential risk and so on. So, yun yung ipang-describe tanan sa ethical considerations. No? We have to be very detailed. No? Okay, the devil is in the detail man daw ni. Iman sila. Okay, so yeah, let's discuss more in more details. No? We review, especially for quali and quanti. No? Quali again, our technique for sampling is purposive. You do not do random sampling in qualitative because in qualitative, our goal is very specific. We have a purpose. Our goal is to understand, and we cannot understand if we do not know whom to ask. That's why we have to be purposive. We have to be purposeful in our sampling. And we have three kinds or three ways we can do this in quali. You have maximal variation, extreme case sampling, and homogeneous sampling. Kasi pasabot na ng maximal variation. Kanang you just wanted to understand a certain phenomenon, but you don't you don't want to limit the answer into a specific group of people. Nataganta mo example. We wanted to look at um, the industry requirement, the skills required by the industries. O katong naghimo mig mga programs for the supposed to be USTP Lumbia. I was the project leader then. So we interviewed project mga industries neighboring Barangay Lumbia to look for to ask them about their preferred skills to hire in their workers. So moto nangutana mi sa ila. So maximal variation because we have no specific criteria. Basta important a specific group. Basta importante lang is we just ask uh, the 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 industry owners unsay lang ipang-hire. So maximal variation so that we can get the whole picture of the skills they wanted. When you say extreme case sampling, you can do this. Like for example, you're doing an explanatory design. You wanted to look at whether how a teaching strategy helps students improve from beginning to proficiency level. So, ang imong extreme case, tanawon nimo, kinsa lang tong nag-abot og proficiency level. Then, sila lang imong sample. Okay? And then, last is homogeneous sampling. Like, you're still focused in one group and they must have the same character. Like, for example, you're looking at teachers. So, unsa man ang characteristics sa teachers? They must be math teachers with master teacher one I remember one example. Si katong PhD graduate sa math, he was doing he did he wanted to know the I hope I remember it right. He wanted to know mga effective predictors to teaching success in mathematics, something nga na siguro to. So, ang iyang homogeneous sampling adto is he wanted to look for katong mga teachers nga successful in their mathematics teaching. So, ang isa niya ka homogeneous sampling nga criteria adto was to look for mathematics teachers who have satisfied or who have achieved the university professor rank. Kung siguro to iyang ipangpangutana to. Nalimot ko. Basta na to siya criteria. Dapat professor level because a professor daw is generally considered successful because they have research, they have extension, and they're good in their instruction na lugar. So, mo to iyang homogeneous sampling. Okay? How about the size of our participants? So, by convention, a qualitative study would require small number of participants. But how small is small? So, by convention, according to Creswell, narrative study, generally one or two, or ideally one, kay narrative study man. Then for a case study, 4 to 10 cases would be good. And then for grounded theory, 20 to 30. But we have to remember that the final size of our participants will not be known until the study has been conducted because of two concepts. We call this sufficiency and saturation. So at the end of the day, it's you, the researcher, who will know whether you have arrived at an appropriate sample size. So when do we say that it's sufficient and it's saturated? We say sufficient if during your data collection, you have perceived that the respondents have already provided you with the answers you need for your study. Manang pasabot sa sufficiency. Ang pasabot sa saturation is, so manang pasabot sa saturation? Kasi naikabalo. Para hindi lang ako tanang istorya. Say, what do you mean by saturation or data saturation? Anyone?
Sir, sakto ba ko, sir, kung may sir, ang repeated ng responses, sir?
Repeated na, nagbalik-balik na ang
Yes, sir.
responses. Oh, so what do we often do is, nga ni ang style, no? Like for example, interview ka, the third person, na-interview mo. And sa fourth person, ang iyang answer, pareha sa third person. Dili pa kamundang ana, dili pa na-saturated. Even nagpareha si fourth o sa third. Ang next na nimo buhatan, you get the fifth person, imo siyang interviewon. Kung si fifth person, pareha na siyang answer ni fourth o ni third, saturated. If si fifth person, dili pa, lahi yung answer, then wala pa ka nag-saturation. You get another sixth. Kung si sixth, pareha ni fifth, saturated. Kung si sixth, wala pa, you get another person. Nasabtan? So, that's what we call as saturation. So, muna ingon ganina nga, often, yes, Sir Lester?
Sir, isa pa lang, sir, if grounded theory, sir, then the saturation somehow na-achieve sa 7 person, sir, pero need man siya og 20 to 30. So,
Di na siya mahitabo. Di na mahitabo
yes, sir.
sa
Thank you, sir.
grounded theory kay ang imong question should be reach. Dili naman na isa kabuk imong pangutana nga ma-feel nimo
Yes,
balik-balik
sir.
ng answer. Seldom na
Thank
siya
you, sir.
mahitabo sa grounded theory kay kani man God is not interested in a very specific situation unlike sa narrative, sa case study or kanang sa phenomenology nga very specific. Kanang mga phenomenology pwede ra na 6, 7, 8 pero ang grounded theory gid na madawat meaning kanang poor ka imong basis sa imong quali kung gamay ra imong participants. Pareha siguro mo question ni Sir Elnor. Kaya namang gi-lower yung hand. Okay. Sir Elnor? Nakipangutana?
Yeah, okay na, sir.
So, inga na, no? So, dayon, ang often pangutana dayon sa panel ani is unsa inyong basis sa kaning number. Oo. So, pwede inyong protocol, inyong ibutang lugar. Ang inyong sample size will be from 20 to 30 according to Creswell. Let's say example, Creswell 2024. And mo nang explain nga, no? Justifiable na. Hindi mo na yung sumpayan nga, although the final sample size will be determined once a study is conducted and once sufficiency and saturation is achieved. Muna inyong ibutang dito sa inyong sampling. Okay? Para pasabot, emergent gapon ang inyong, kaya kaning 30, dili man ni maximum. Hindi makamabot 35, 37, especially rich kayo ang mga data nga makolekt, no? Okay? Sige. Let's go now to quantitative. Very important. Ingon ko kaganina, for quantitative to be of good quality, sampling should be probabilistic or random. If it's not random, then therefore it has no inferential power. You are only describing the group that you have, and it cannot be kanang generalized to a larger population. So you have different kinds. I think you're very familiar, ani, no? Mga hilas man mo, ani. You have simple, multi-stage. So simple, once na ka mag-random sampling, snowball, or random numbers, multi-stage na ay certain levels of uh, unsa ni randomization. Then napod tayo gitawag og stratified and cluster. Often liga kalibugan ni sila, no? Can anyone differentiate the two? When do we say it's stratified? When do we say it's cluster? Basi na ay familiar or gatudlo sa inyo ani? Kay common ni siya gaka-miss unsa tawag na? Gaka-interchange. But dili na sila interchangeable, no? Ang keyword na to aning stratified is strata. Kasi pasabatan ng strata. Strata means, ako na lang mag-answer. Kapuyan siguro mo mag-unmute. Okay. Strata means level. So pasabutan na, you group your participants according to levels. Like for example, instructor level, mag-collect ka diya sa ila. Assistant professor level, mag-collect ka sa ila. Associate professor level, mag-collect ka sa ila. Professor level, mag-collect ka sa ila. Mo nang stratification. Or you group the students according to their performance, their beginning, approaching proficient, after sa proficient, excellent, out ba? Proficient di ay, above proficient, imo i-group ang student. Diyan, diya ka mag-random. From the beginning, snowball din, snowball. Kining, sani? Sani? Kanang, fishball, snowball. Fishball din ka. Sa approaching proficient, fishball. And so on. Si cluster, you're grouping them based on a common geographic characteristic. Muna si cluster. Si location usually ang ginagamit to cluster. Or a predetermined group. Like for example, naka-cluster ang eskwelahan based on colleges or departments. Manang cluster sampling. Dili siya level. Kaya dili man mas taas ang College of Agriculture sa College of Nursing or a College of Nursing sa College of Education. So they're clustered. Okay, and then random select. Then next is the non-probabilistic. This is often done still in quantitative studies, but they have poor inferential power. And then often siya ginagamit sa kanang tawag ani mga market research or feasibility studies na convenience and volunteer sampling lang because the purpose of the research is just to get a sense of the group or the area. So dili siya kinanglan na ay inferential power. And often if your sampling technique is convenience or volunteer sampling, then there's slim chance your paper gets accepted in a good journal. Because again, it has no inferential power. And I remember before no sa una pag yun, kanang nakoy paper na reject because simply the sampling was convenience. Mo ginagibutang dito sa rejection letter sa editor kay the sampling technique has no inferential power. The poorly done ang sampling. So sir, John man ni sir, ang nga sila ra man gyud among kaya no. So natay gitawag og kana bitawng kanang context limited o researcher limited nga mga sampling techniques. Unsay pasabotan ng context limited o researcher limited? Researcher limited kana ikaw nag-decide mag one group ra ko sa akong intervention kay para dali ra. Ana mga nga mga reason isud na siya dawaton sa journal. Ano isa naman ka group? Kaya isa naman sila ka section. That's not researcher limited. That's context limited. So, isa naman ka section ng STEM. Sila rin akong pwede masulayan. Wala mo kailangan ni comparable group sa ilaha. Ana. Another example of a context limited sampling is kanang common Japanese sa intervention. Kanang itong nakay control group o pre-experimental group. So, it's a quasi-experimental. Ngano dili na lang man it true experimental. So we have limited because we do not have say in the sectioning of the students. Tama? So, di man ta makabuot nga katong isa ka estudyante balin sa PICA so that they will have we can achieve at least perfect homogeneity of variances, di ba? Di ba na to na ma-achieve kay di ba na to sila pwede mabalin-balhin kay predetermined man ang sectioning. So we cannot do through experiment in the intervention. And that's okay. That's acceptable in many journals kay okay na ng quiz sa experimental. So ang gabuhaton din sa uban, they introduce certain level of randomization. Like for example, um, pag-assign kinsa ang control group o experimental group. So, pwede nila i-toss coin kinsa ang experimental, kinsa ang control group. Napuyo ba na sila gitawag nga randomized block design? Ambot kadungog ba mo na ang randomized block design? Kadungog naman na.
Para mag
Yes, sir.
Sige, yun sa man na about. Nag-yes mga Sir Lester.
Actually, sir, kung sir, hindi ko sir, but na kung sa kanang mga research
Nakadungog
students
lang.
about sa agriculture
Oo.
bitaw sir nga
Oo, sa
kanong si
agriculture na siya often
yes sir.
ginagamit. Mm.
Para daw kanang randomize ang assignment sa kasi sir magkanong
Tatanom.
dili bias ang lighting, sunlight, etc. sa
Lighting,
bayan sir.
yuta,
So,
pangulan.
yes sir.
Oh. So sa agriculture and even in biology, ginagamit ng randomized block design nga. Example, you have one plot. Oh. So diri na experimental group, diri na control group, diri na po dayon control group, diri na po dayon experimental group, diri na po dayon ana ba baylo sila. Oh, pwede po din ginabuhaton sa intervention, magpuli-puli. Yeah, mag-repeated measures ANOVA lang dayon mo or two-way ANOVA, repeated measures. Pwede. Ang Solomon mo nang pinaka-highest, pinakataas, pinakabongga ng Solomon for group design, no? Kaning randomized, duwa lang ni ka group o niya, puli-puli lang. Oo. So, pwede ninyo sa nabuhaton. Para even ko sa experimental siya, maka-introduce gyapon mo randomization and that improves the inferential power of your results. Okay? So, muna yung mga techniques lang, tips lang yun ako ipanghatag aning lecture, no? So, quantitative, the sampling is rigorous and of course, it's quite large and it's always dependent to the assumption of your statistics. So, for example, kung nang plano daan nga magamit ka og kanang Pearson correlation or magamit ka og regression, magamit ka og chi-square or sa man ang mga stat imong panggamiton. EFA, CFA, SEM. So you have to always look for the assumptions of the method. Dili ka magbuot sa sample size. Okay? So, na yung mga ingana. So, gamito nimo. Although, naiuban yung mga paper, like for example, if it's a multifactorial nga mga stat ang gamiton, ilang ginaingon kay na sila gitawag og absolute 100. Kadug mo ng absolute 100. Masin kadungog na mo ana. May mga papers gagamit na nga term absolute 100 nga. Ang 100 daw nga sample size enough na daw o comparable na daw yung result sa 500 nga sample size or sa 1,000 nga sample size. So, inagamit to sila at not paper ako nabasa niya, ilang i-compare niya, pareho daw ang result. So, they said niya, pwede daw ang absolute 100. So, magdepende gyapon. Depende sa assumption sa inyong mga stat. Napoy gaingon nga, ang basta multifactorial ang study, no, mag times 10 sa number of kanang domains. So, for example, pila ka book inyong domains? Napulo ka buok. So, times 10 dayon. So, 100 inyong participants. Kung 12 inyong domains, 12 times 10. So, 120 inyong participants. So, na yung mga ingana. So, magdepende lang sa kung sa inyong gi-refer to. And you have to justify why you think that is appropriate. Okay? So, na yung mga assumptions. So, ang uban pod, na usahay nga, dili nila maabot ilang sample size. Oo. Sa may buhaton, kung dili maabot ang sample size, munang eskwela. Dili. Sa may buhaton, sinay familiar sa inyo. Anyone?
Wala, sir ba? Usually, mahilak lang ni sir. Kung kailang
Pwede
MD, sa
buhaton. Statistical, galing na siya in nature. Na ko, dili mo familiar. Sige. Kasi napa, di lang mahunahunaan. It starts with letter B. Char. Mura mo mga high school, ani. And
last letter, sir.
letter P.
Ah,
Hmm. Familiar na? Sige daw. Two words ba ni? One word. Nalimot ko. We call that as bootstrapping, no? So na yung mga statistical packages na kaya niya mag-bootstrap. Oo. So, ang bootstrap maghimo siya og random nga participants nga pareha og characteristics sa inyong sa tawag ani sa inyong na-collect na nga sample para mo dako inyong sample without altering the central tendency sa inyong data. So natay gitawag nga bootstrapping. Although seldom ni siya ginagamit sa education niya research, no. Often ni siya ginagamit sa kanang mga data analytics. Oo. But if you can read papers nga ga bootstrap nga related sa education, pwede nyo i-cite. Oo. Kaya man niya mag-produce og thousands of participants kay random man yung buhaton kay bootstrapping. Okay? Sige, na pangutan na so far.
wala ka, sir.
Okay, sige. We go now to obtaining permission. So I think I mentioned this earlier. We have to acquire permission regardless of the nature of our study, whether it's quantity or quality, there must be permission. Because again, if it's an ethical research, then it's a sound research. If it's an unethical research, then it is unsound research. And most often, journals now require ethics clearance, and this must be declared in the methodology of the paper. Pangitao na nila. And then you have to also present in your manuscript in the chapter 3 the level of risk and harm and how you will guarantee that rights of the participants will be protected. So, na yung mga section na mga anonymity, confidentiality, ang access to data. So, na may mga ipang-discuss nga na. So, na tayo mga examples. Even in the signing of informed consent, ano kailangan mong informed consent, di ba?
Yes, sir.
How about if ang inyong participants kay minor? Oo. Ito may tawag anak. Informed consent, maghapon na.
Waiver, sir.
May kadlo ka ng waiver. Priso tana. Dili na actually acceptable sa korte ang waiver, no? Nag-decide ang Supreme Court nga dili pwede ta magamit og waiver, especially if the nakuan are minor because they cannot decide for themselves. That's why we have what we call as assent form. Dug naman na assent.
Karon pa, sir.
Karon pa. So nata informed consent na pud gitawag assent form. Sa man ang assent form? It's the form that we have to you know this as parents consent.
Yes, sir. Parents consent.
Parents consent.
Ano lang din.
Ang correct term actually is assent form. When you have uh sorry, to have the participants require a legal representative to decide for them. Muna itong gitawag og assent form. And this is often used for kanang mga minors. Yan nagyapon ni siya category. Kung siya pasabot sa minor, so pwede mo magbasa-basa na, no? So when do we use an IFC, ICF, informed consent form, or when do we use an assent form? Napunta mo yung mga sample maawatan ana online. Okay, yeah, I've mentioned this in detail earlier. We have to clarify for qualitative data the questions that we have to use, especially di ba kung gibalik sa introduction pa lang sa atong lecture, yung quali ga depends sa mostly sa researcher, dili sa instrument. Okay, the researcher gali is the instrument. So kung baguhan pa ka nga researcher, maayo gid tong magandam na kasi mo mga questions, mga interview questions, and they're arranged accordingly, no? Na siya logical order sa imong questions, and then you also have to prepare ahead your probing questions. Like if nga yung answer, saan ka na kog probe. Maayo pod if mag-practice, naabot ako ba rin gimension ka ganina, maayo gid mag-practice sa qualitative data. So makita kag someone similar characteristics sa imong participants, inyo mag-practice para maka-take notes pug ka unsa nimo pagpangutana, unsa nimo pag-dealing nga question. Kay magdepende man ng ka-reach sa imong data sa imong way of questioning. Kung poor ka in probing, wa gyud kay makuha nga mga answer. Okay? For quanti, the type of data is stable because you have your measuring tools. The problem lang with the measuring tools are their reliability. Because if your measuring tools are not reliable, then you do not get a stable data. No? So duha ka things that you consider sa atong quanti, the accuracy and the precision. Accuracy, you're measuring what you're supposed to measure. Precision is you're measuring the same thing consistently where when you get the same results when even if you repeated the measurement many times. Muna pasabot sa precision. So how do we know? Accuracy, we do validation. For precision, we do reliability testing. So napoy lain-lain nga reliability testing. If kung questionnaire, so gagamitan siya og mga Cronbach's alpha or coefficient alpha, or kung objective type siya, like na ay correct or wrong answer, we do KR20, we do KR21. We also look at discrimination index, a level of difficulty, mga nga na. Kung rubrics or rater, kung na mga rate, mag-rating sila. So we do inter-rater reliability, like we look at Cohen's kappa, no? Cohen's kappa. Unsa pagaling? Cohen's kappa wala ko usually kakabasahan ng inter-rater agreement. Oo, so pwede nga na like atong isa ka student namo sa una nga ang iyang way to grade is na siya rubric. So how do we know if the rubric is consistent? So na inter-rater reliability gibuhat. So tulo ka raters nag-rate using the same rubric. Gitanaw dayon ilang reliability using Cohen's kappa. Okay? So nagya po yung ana. Okay, then recording data, dapat klaro imong interview protocol, how you plan to start the interview. So sa interview protocol ay mga magpaila-ila, like hello, kinsa ka, pwede pa-introduce, pa-describe, so that you can set rapport with the participants. Even also not only in interview but also in your observation protocol. So night times nga when you collect data, in your quali, the way you are collecting data affects the behavior of the participants, and it introduces bias. No? Example, kabantay mo ng mga behavior sa inyo mga estudyante basta na ay kanang mag-observe sa inyong klase. Di ba, ma-outro ilang behavior? Di mo nga sabaan kay mukha nito hilom pag naay mag-observe. Ito mga bright kay maulaw ng tubag, pakawawa na ka. Payawan na kay kasi imong demo, nya kato mga bright yung mga estudyante kay di naman mapataas silang kamot kay na nag-observe. Kana the observation protocol needs to be clarified to ensure to reduce bias in your data. So yung mga techniques ana no, muchikat in a short while. For quanti, you have to ensure that your instruments are appropriate and they're existing. If not, you develop original ones. And then, ingon ko kaganina, evidence must be provided on the validation and reliability testing. So, magklaro sa imong face validity giun sa content validity sa instrument giun sa and so on. Okay? So administering, you just describe how the sampling will be conducted towards and anticipate the types of issue that will arise, like in recruiting participants, in the role of the researcher, recording equipment, and so on. And then for quanti, if there's kana bitong if na intervention i-introduce the teaching strategy, so there is more than one researcher, so there must be training on how to collect data para we can ensure that the data collection did not interfere with the results. Klarohon gid na siya. Okay, some general considerations when doing mixed methods. Yun ko kaganina, maayo if you have a matrix so that there is one-to-one correspondence, no? Unsay research question, unsay method, unsay mong expected results. Dayon, dili lang for quanti and quali, also for the mixed method. So how do you plan to integrate the quali and quanti? Okay? Specific, let's go now to individual research design. So for convergent design, you have to decide whether the sample for your quali and quanti will be the same or different individuals. Again, sa example, the same, nagpa-answer kag survey sa mga teachers about their teaching strategies. Dayon, imo dayon pong gitan-aw ilahang lesson plan. So quanti, the survey, the quali, the lesson plans of the teacher, of the same teacher. So that's the same, collecting different data from the same teacher and see if there is convergence between the teaching, what is in the taught curriculum and what is in the written curriculum. Yan na. Different, kato ko example kaganina sa katong naghimo ming program, we interviewed high school students for their career preferences. Then we interviewed the skills required by the industry. So different sample collected. Different data collected from two different samples. Okay? You also have to decide whether the size of the two samples will be the same or different. And then you need to be able to justify why they have to be the same, why they have to be different. Ideally, the same. Because you wanted to compare na makay convergence or divergence. So dapat para the same. Decide whether there is parallel data collection questions or not parallel. Kato ko example kaganina. Often, if you're collecting from the same respondents, often parallel sa imong data collection. So pasabot na ng parallel. You are measuring the same thing but in different ways. Patong teaching strategies. One, survey. Isa is looking at the lesson plan. Ang not parallel, di katong lahi imong pangutana. Okay. Okay. Sige. Next is for explanatory designs. So, pareha gyapon, you have to decide whether you have to collect the same or different individuals. So, often sa explanatory, the same individuals because you wanted to look at the variables or the results in the quantitative that you wanted to explain in the qualitative. And in terms of the sample size, often, dako gyud ang sample size sa phase 1, gamay sa phase 2 for the quali. And then you also have to decide which quantitative results needed to be explained and how to select best participants from the quantitative follow-up phase. And then finally, you have to describe how the emerging follow-up phase will be conducted so that it can also be approved already by the ethics review committee. Okay? Next is for exploratory. decide whether the sample size for quanti and quali will be the same or different. Often, different. Gamay imong sample size sa imong exploratory, dako sa imong explanatory. Then you have to describe also how the quantitative phase will be conducted so that it can already be approved also by the ethics review. Then you also have to decide what parts of the initial quali will be used to the second phase. Like will the themes become factors? Will the statements become source of for item pool generation and so on? And if you're developing an instrument, you have to describe the steps in developing a good quantitative instrument. So here are the steps of developing a good quantitative instrument. So first, you have to explore the different theories and even the interview in your qualitative findings through your qualitative study. So imong immerse imong self ana, and then identify some notable thoughts there, and then generate item pool using short items, appropriate reading level, and based also on the participant language. And then naka-item pool, na naka mga questions. So you already have the item pool, and from the item pool, then you develop the psychometric properties of your instrument. So those are the scales. You have to decide kung 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 10 scales. And then you have to justify also why those scales are utilized. And then finally, next is the item pool. You have your item pools. You have your item pool reviewed by the experts. So nakay content validation sa imuhang mga items. So klaro nimo imong items. So naay gitawag nato og CVI, no? To validate the items. So naay mga rater nga mag-rate sa imong mga items. Then pag humana na, score nimo ma-measure na din nimo ang validity sa imong mga instruments. So aside from the simple calculation of the CVI, pwede po kung na-test na yung mga TOS, so na-guide ang mga experts in looking at the validity of your test, no? So aside from kanang content validity, you can also do construct validity. Hindi na mag-involve na ka og mga yung sa tawag ani, mga statistical tools, no? In looking at the validity of your test mo tong gitawag og naay mga discrimination index, what else? Difficulty index, na pud gitawag og distractor analysis, no? Especially kung exam. So naay distractor analysis, tanawon ko ang mga distractors are really functioning. So apil na siya na. Oo. Then use it for your instrument, then administer, and then evaluate. So na din kay mga item scale correlations, no? Para maka-develop ka sa imong mga factors para sa imong EFA, sa imong factor analysis. Then you can also look at the reliability, and then analysis of participant comments, like na yung mga comments sa mga participants nga kani nga question wala mi kasabot ani, ay in Englishan libog, double barreled, and so on. And then optimize the scale length of the item. Next, if developing an instrument, decide how to convey the design of it in a procedural diagram. So naka step by step. Next is mixed methods experimental. Basin na magingani sa inyo. So you have to decide when to collect quali. Is it before, during, or after the experiment? So if you decide before, the purpose of the quali there is only one, to use the quali in the design of the experiment. Next, during. Why do we do during? We collect during so that we can initially evaluate whether our experiment is working or not. Then After, we do after because we wanted to use quali as an explanation for our results in the experiment. When you do before and after, that's okay. The challenge is when you do during. Because when you do during quali, you introduce bias in the experiment. Like for example, nag-collect ka og data from your participants during. Nag-introduce ka og intervention, unya na-interview ka sa ila during kamulo pa yung experiment. Mungutan na mo unsa ila mga difficulties sa teaching strategies or unsa ba diha. From that, makasense din imo mga estudyante or imo mga participants unsa imong gi-expect nga behavior from them. So what will happen? They will alter their behavior based on on your expected result. So that introduces bias in our data collection. Or katakong yun kaganina, if na mag-observe sa klase, so may tabo, ma-alter ang behavior sa students kina ay nag-observe. So unsay ginabuhat sa uban, atong naka-participate ko no ina atong training atong research sa game-based learning, I was the participant. among professor adto naay camera sa tubangan ug naay camera sa likod because he wanted to look at whether the participants were engaged or not engaged through different non-verbal cues, no, like example magtabi, manglangab, mukatawa, mukuot sa cellphone, mo text, mo picture, mag-note. So those were the behaviors the researcher were collecting to as qualitative data to support the experimental findings. So pwede nga na yung mga camera. Importante lang is anaron ang participants. Dili kaya pa ka nag-data collect, kaya pa ka nag-introduce og cameras. Kaya i-introduce ni mo daan para sa sugod, conscious sila. In the next few sessions, dili na sila conscious sa camera. Okay? Ang uban pod, ang katong mga medyo social nga mga researcher, ang ilang classroom na glass. Kabantay mo ng one-sided glass. Sa amin siya, sa likod, di makita kinsay nasa sa amin. Then sa pikas nga side, makita niya kinsay nasa pikas. So that the students will not be intimidated by the presence of the observers. And you also have to identify what kind of data will you be collecting. So, sa ba to behavior, ilang notes, or ang ilang, sa ba? Ilang notes, ang ilang seat work, mag-analyze ka sila mga silang notes, mag-analyze ka silang seat work that will help you support your experiment. Mixed methods case study, I think no one is doing this one, but you just have to clarify the criteria that you will be using to define the case, and you have to decide the core design. So unsa man, will you use quanti first to generate the cases, to group the participants into cases, or you use quali to generate the cases to group them, or a combination of quanti and quali to generate cases. And then finally, if you have different cases already, how do you compare them? So what another criteria to compare the different cases? Participatory social justice design, I think also wala ngani, but this is interesting, no? So you have to make sure how to reach your participants since kaning mga nasa marginalized nga sector kay mo man ang target sa social justice design, they often feel inferior. So di kay sila mag-interact with other groups. So kailangan klarohon na to saon na to pag interact sa ila, no? So you must have procedures outlined how you can interact with them. Second, ang imong sampling strategy. So what will you do to ensure that you maximize inclusivity and dili ma-exclusive ang uban? Like for example, mga tribes. So how do you ensure that the tribe is well represented? Next is to involve the participants not just in the data collection process, but as well as in the problem identification, selection of data, and discussion of the results. Next is in the instruments that you will be using, you have to make sure that the instruments that you will be using is culturally appropriate. No, wala mga racial slurs, wala mga tawag ani. mga triggering questions that would offend the marginalized group and so on. And finally, you have also to decide together with the participants what the results are and how it will be used to benefit the society. So dapat na gitawag nga CTA. Kadungog naman ng CTA, wala sa gyapon mo kadungog. I call to action, no? Ng these are your findings. What then? How will this benefit the marginalized group? And finally, the mixed methods evaluation, the pinakagubot nga research design in mixed methods. So you have to decide the different sampling strategies that you will be using in different phases. So kung quanti, unsa first phase, unsa dito, second phase, unsa mo strategy, and so on and so forth. And yeah, the kind of data that you will be collecting, and you have to describe also how to address attrition. Kadung namon siya ng attrition. Anyone familiar with attrition? Wala kayo lang attrition. Sige, ako na lang, mag-chika na lang po. We had one study before, 2007, na nag-chat. Mo back out ang respondents. So, medyo ingana, pero kani dili mo back out, nangawala sila. Aside na mo back out, given naman ginang walk out, okay, voluntary man in nature. Ang uban na ni mga wala, kana bitaw di na nato makontak. We nami project sa una, it was a 5-year mixed methods evaluation project. We look at how we can improve science teachers in Cagayan de Oro City. So we started with the needs analysis, and then from the needs analysis, we identified the skills required by the teachers, and then we developed mga training programs. And mga training programs were experimental designs, no? And then mag-qualify man tami as the program outcomes after 5 years. So nahitabo ato from needs analysis, we were able to identify 5 factors: science content, lesson planning, pedagogy lesson planning and pedagogy. Third, were their confidence in teaching. We also identified their ICT and laboratory skills, and finally the science process skills. So mo na-identify. Nag-training na dayan me. So nitabo was kada tuig change ang participants. Okay, kani si DepEd naman sila ibatasan nga kana bitong si Sir Sandy ang nag-appeal sa training last year. Si Ma'am Hazel na pod next year. Sunod na pod si Sir Lester. Sunod na pod si Sir Elnor. So nahitabo, wala na agian sa tanan teachers ang different phases sa program as a project, ang 5 projects. So we were not able to measure the outcome of the program. Diba? Kaya one program, then nading kay 5 ka project. So dapat ang kaning program outcome, ma-measure ni siya as a summary sa imong 5 ka project. Patula naman na nabuhat. Okay. Nagline-line man ng participants. So what we did was we just come up with one paper for one project, another paper for this, another paper for this, another paper for this, and another paper for this. And itabo, maggagmay among mga papers, and they were not as good as when we look at it in the whole programmatic, matong itawag nga, programmatic thrust, the whole program. So wala naman nakita if all of these 5 help improve the teacher as a whole. Nga na bitaw. So kinahanglan namo yung mga strategies buhaton to ensure attrition will be addressed. So one strategy that you can do is sa first phase pa lang, dako na inyong sample size dire sa first phase so that it will cover everyone. Para second phase, na-cover ninyo pagamay, and pagamay. Hantod sa last phase, you're sure that all participants there have participated from phase 1. Muna gibuhat katong 3-year project tong UP, I remember. Taho kay lang sample size sa sinugdanan para ma-address nila ang attrition. That's one thing you can do. Second, there are benefits when participating in the programs. So, pwede nga na, no? So, para ma-encourage sila mag-participate. Third is, naroon ang partnership. Sabi nga to kay, we were not clear with DepEd. I thought they understand what we wanted to do. Wala di ay. So, na-realize na mo to after nagsugod na mi sa second phase. Yeah. Isod naman og amo pangundangon. So, kamot na lang din mi nga sa third, fourth, ug fifth medyo parehas. But still, it was difficult to measure the program outcomes kaya utro-tro ang participants, no? And aside from the programmatic thrust, aside from that, no, napayuban nga sumpay-sumpay nga lain-lain ng participants. Like I have one doctoral advisee now. He's doing parehagya po niyang gibuhat. Nag-means analysis siya. And from that, nag-develop siya training. From the training yung gi-conduct, training ang mga teachers nag-develop og lesson plan. Katong lesson plan gi-implement, gitanaw dayon ang outcomes sa estudyante. Nagyapon siya programmatic thrust. So we look at green chemistry, mga ito yung topic. And sa mga challenges sa mga teachers in integrating green chemistry sa ilang classroom. Dayon, identify to, nag-develop og training. From that training, naghimo og mga lesson plan ng mga teachers, i-implement ang lesson plan. Gitanaw dayon if ang mga estudyante nag-improve ba ilang environmental awareness by introducing green chemistry. So na siya programmatic thrust. Yung kada phase sa yung study, na siya quantity o quali. It was a very huge study and he came up with 4 publications. No? And those 4, ay isa na published na, ang tulo are already under review by a journal. Okay, na. I think this is the end of the lecture. So the last part is your paper requirement. You have to write planned methods for your dissertation in your concept paper. So kinahanglan ninyo ni at para na namoy plano sa inyong concept paper. So what methods will you be using in your dissertation? Describe them in detail and then probably justify why these are appropriate for your study. Okay, please take a screenshot.